my goal is to land a client within the first 30 days. That's what I set my mind out to do. And I did. On like day 29, I had my first client, paid, like, let's go. The more consistent you are with attending different networking groups, you're going to make better connections. It creates referrals, which is the best thing. Every referral I get, we close. The other thing is it keeps you current. You meet other marketing agencies, you meet people that may be a little bit more seasoned in this business, and you just kind of hear about different tools, different tricks, different tips that you think that you can implement in your business. You need to get creative in the way that you're marketing yourselves that sets you apart from not only other marketing agencies, but also just from the crowd. So what's going to be your identifier that gets people to remember you? And then also digital business cards. They work a lot easier because you can put your contact information right in someone's phone versus a business card that you just kind of get lost in the mix and probably will end up in the trash. But at least this way, you're already in their phone. But ultimately, it's going to be just how to better network and how to better market yourself to other agencies, to other small businesses and things.
Karissa, thank you so much for being here. Every single time like you've ever been in this meeting, you've always invested into this community, which I super appreciate. Let me go ahead and spotlight you real quick. And I wanted to ask your permission first, and I apologize, it's public, but you can say no, like don't feel, like you have to. Do you have any qualms if I shared the number of opportunities we have had with you, how many we've closed, just a little bit of that data? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. So just so you guys know, with Karissa over the course of time now, which we have been partners, I think we are literally about to celebrate 1 year with you. I think it's on the 31st, if I remember right. So we're really close to celebrating 1 year. Over the course of this last year, we had 28 different opportunities. Now, that's not 28 clients. Each client could have multiple opportunities, but 28 opportunities, of which 17 closed. 3 of them were one-time opportunities that closed, so like SEO IARs, social media IARs, and 14 were retainers. And a majority of those are with us and operating with us today. So I think overall it was a really good start to our relationship in the first year. And so Karissa, if you don't mind, I'll let you share, a little introduction about yourself and your background. And I know you've kind of prepared some information that you'll walk us through today. So yeah, I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for inviting me to chat with everybody today. So if you don't know me, I'm Karissa. I own Damn Good Marketing based out of Austin, Texas. So a little bit about my background. I actually come from an insurance background. So I started an insurance agency in Las Vegas, where I used to live before we up and moved to Austin. I still have my insurance brokerage out there, but I don't run it anymore. I just get commissions and it's fun. So I get paid to do nothing, which I love. But with this business, I've had my agency now for about 5 years. And I started the marketing agency with this, I saw an ad, really, is kind of how it all starts, probably for most of us. I saw an ad for some course to learn more about digital marketing and digital real estate and just kind of diving into things like that. So I spent my first year, and I mean, it wasn't cheap. It was pretty pricey. I want to say the program itself cost about $5,000. And so I said, okay, my goal is to land a client within the first 30 days. That's what I set my mind out to do. And I did. On day 29, I had my first client, paid, let's go. So for me, I have a very big hustlers mentality. And so I kind of look at different avenues. Stop, just a little. I look at different avenues and different ways to market, but no matter what business I'm in, it all has really stemmed from networking. I've been an entrepreneur, I want to say probably for the last like 10 years, with my insurance brokerage, with the digital marketing agency, and I still have yet to spend any marketing dollars in my business aside from networking. So, a big part of that, of what we're going to kind of talk through today, is networking, how to make the most of your opportunities, and really just kind of do it right. Because there's so many opportunities when it does come to networking that I feel a lot of people miss the mark. And I even market and like network with other marketing agencies, which is really funny when people are like, "Oh, I kind of work with so and so already." I'm like, "Great, let's introduce. Like, let's partner together and see what gaps I can fill that maybe somebody else isn't offering that we can offer." And so I can dive into those different opportunities as well and different partnerships. But ultimately, it's going to be just how to better network and how to better market yourself to other agencies, to other small businesses, and things of that sort. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I'm just going to open this thing up. Do you see like the whole full screen mode now?
Yes. Beautiful.
All right. So I kind of threw this together pretty quickly, but it's just going to kind of hit the main points here. I definitely want this to be a dialogue. So if as we're going through this, if you guys have questions, I can't really see your faces. So just feel free to jump in, or Mike or someone just let me know, like, hey, there's a question. But anyways,
If you guys have a question, go ahead and use the raise hand feature, and I'll just call on you real quick. All right. I'll keep my eyes on it.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's dive into this. So we have a lot of small business experience. We kind of just talked a little bit about this, but I really want to show how to maximize your partnership with that company, as well as how to scale your own agencies through lead generation, automation, basically other things that you can add to your services to create additional recurring revenue. So the first thing we're going to dive into is going to be more of networking. Some of the biggest things with networking is you need to be consistent with it. And especially the more consistent you are with attending different networking groups, you're going to make better connections. People are going to start to see you more. They're going to trust you. They're going to think of you when things pop up. It creates referrals, which is the best thing. I don't know about you, but almost every referral I get, we close. Because they're hot leads and because I've trained my referral partners and I've trained my network what I look for. So being pretty specific and kind of just spending that time educating people has led for us to have higher close ratios because they're more of our ideal clients. It opened doors. So, I mean, I've had several salespeople that have come through DGM that I have met through networking, which has really helped. You know, we've done some collaborations, we've done some different partnerships, but it really does open the door to a lot of opportunities, which I love. The other thing is it keeps you current. So you meet other marketing agencies, you meet people that may be a little bit more seasoned in this business, and you just kind of hear about different tools, different tricks, different tips that you think that you can implement in your business. Those things really help your visibility. So staying on top of mind when people are really looking for marketing help. The partnership growth. So you team up with others to offer more services, share leads, and then ultimately strengthen your community, because that's one of the biggest things. And if any of you have ever attended a BNI meeting in your life, you know that the number one thing that they say that you get out of it, and the number one goal, is the giver's gain mentality. So, I mean, I have several of my own clients that are always messaging me like, hey, Karissa, do you know a photographer? Hey, Karissa, do you know someone that wraps vehicles? I mean, so it doesn't matter what it is, but when people start coming to you as the resource, it just makes you look better by having a community that you can refer out to. The top networking groups, are honestly one of the best ones that I would suggest, is BNI. BNI is a fantastic group. It's a commitment because you do have to show up once a week, but it also helps build those relationships. It helps really to build that trust, build that community. It is an investment as well, but it's worth it. I mean, the first year that I did marketing, my seat was digital marketing. And my first year, I think we made probably $80,000 in that 1 year just through BNI. That was it. And that was our first 6-figure year, which was awesome. But it pays. How do you maximize attending these networking events, attending these meetings, getting involved? So the one thing that I started to do that has been amazing for me is demos. So I actually have a self-selling AI demo that I use. It collects people's information, but also gives them something to play with. So they can sit there and have a conversation with like their own AI receptionist. And that just kind of walks them through not only one of the services that we offer, but also really just helps get me in front of them to get a meeting. So the demos are amazing. Bright colors. So this was actually something that we did at a huge women's conference. I mean, you're talking over 1,000 attendees. And we all decided just to wear like really bright colors and stand out. So whenever we were following up with people, we were just like, hey, this is Karissa with Damn Good Marketing. We were the people in the bright pink suits, or like, but it's just something that's going to make you stand out. So you want to kind of do, especially if you are going to be in something that's heavily saturated or, a really large type of networking event, do something that's going to make you stand out. Wear a pretty cool hat. Like, you need to get creative in the way that you're marketing yourselves that sets you apart from not only other marketing agencies, but also just from the crowd. So what's going to be your identifier that gets people to remember you? And then also digital business cards. They work a lot easier because you can put your contact information right in someone's phone versus a business card that you just kind of get lost in the mix and probably will end up in the trash. But at least this way, you're already in their phone, they're in your phone, and it's a lot easier for you to follow up. The next thing is presenting. So take as many opportunities as you can to talk about your business, especially if it's in front of a room of local business owners. So think of your local chamber of commerce. So they will typically have monthly luncheons. They will have additional opportunities throughout the month for you to present. Sometimes you can host your own networking event or seminar, like a marketing seminar that you can promote through the chamber. So there is a lot of opportunities that you should be looking for to put yourself out in front of the community as an expert, sharing knowledge, sharing information, things of that sort. So take all of those opportunities, just like I did today. I know this room isn't my ideal audience, but again, it's just taking those opportunities, even doing something like this, being a guest speaker, it gives you opportunities to practice, so perfecting your presentation, listening to kind of questions that people would be asking, and things of that sort. And the last thing is connection. So when you do attend these networking events and you're meeting people, collecting data, follow up. Like, that's the biggest thing. Take time to meet people. And I would probably get about like at least 2 to 4 people to meet up for lunch and try to get like a small group together where it's not just a one-on-one, unless you really connected with someone and you want to do a one-to-one, but maybe get like a power team together, where you guys can really refer business to each other, get to know people, and really just kind of start developing those relationships. So before I move on, any questions on this slide about attending networking events or things of?
Hi, Carissa. Thank you for the information. Could you go a little bit more into demos, self-selling AI demos?
Yes. So good question. I will talk a little bit about that later on as well, as we get into more of the additional services that you can offer for recurring revenue. But this in particular is conversational AI that I use for my clients that are running ads. And we built these in to help them follow up. So it's more of like an AI receptionist that, like, the second a lead comes in from our ad efforts, that they're trying to start the conversation, or if on the funnel that we created, we have a chat bot in the corner that says like, hey, do you have any questions for us? And if people fill out a question, it starts the conversation with our AI. So what the demo is we actually have a form that we have them fill out with their name, their phone number, and then also kind of what their industry is. So if they're like a med spa or like a restoration company, whatever their industry is, it starts a conversation via text. So it'll just send them like a text message that says like, hey, we're about to start your AI demo. We have some questions, like what's your business name? And then it just starts a conversation with them. So all we really get is their business name and their niche. And then through that, we basically show them a demo of how our AI basically book an appointment for them. So it walks them through some objection questions, like how can we help you? What is it that you're looking for? And then it drives them to book an appointment. But it's just a really cool way to get into the shoes of the owner for them to see what it would look like in their business. So that's the demo that I use, and it works really well because it only takes a few minutes and they can kind of mess with it later on if they're busy networking and not able to play with it. But they can always, it'll follow up with them like after a few hours to be like, hey, like, do you want to keep messing with this? And usually by then they're home. So I get really good feedback off of that and just kind of walk them through their AI demo. That's what I use. And it's just a really cool way to get in front of people and grab their attention.
And the way that they get to that demo is through your funnel or from your website. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I'll usually have it on my phone. I'll have the form and then I just hand my phone over to them and say, hey, like, yeah, just fill out your information here and it'll get started. So then they just start, they plug in their information and then it moves over the conversation over to their cell phone.
And I'm sure that Chris is going to get into this here momentarily, but this is a beautiful upsell in addition to the things that we're doing here at that company. So that company, we're really good at the top of funnel of driving the leads. And this stuff can really complement with achieving that speed to lead and getting them to book appointments. So I love when our partners are integrating technology like this as an additional upsell.
So yeah, I'll dive into that a little bit more here in a minute. But kind of staying on track with the networking stuff. The other side of that too is if you feel like these networking events are a little saturated with other marketing experts, one thing that I did when I got a little sick of like BNI and like the chambers and stuff was I started my own. So Link Up Local is a networking group that we started ourselves. We took our favorite things of BNI and our favorite things that we took from other networking events and made it our own. So we're starting right now. We do them like once a month and people love it. It's, there's no commitment to it, but it's just a time to get together, network. We have smaller events, which we call our latte link ups, where we just meet up at a coffee shop and we usually have anywhere from like 5 to 10 people that show. And those are more of an intimate setting, but we end up having like the best conversations. I think the last one we ended up all walking away with like some inside jokes and some amazing relationships started. And then we have our larger ones, which are more of our happy hour events. And we also do kind of icebreaker challenges. So we have name tags as well that are colors. And so depending on what your color is what your industry is kind of. So you have like business to business will have their own color. A personal, so if you service, like homeowners and more of like personal services, they have their own. And then we have trades. So we have like different areas. So as you're walking the room and you see the different colors, if you see someone that's B2B, you could be like, oh, I want to go talk to that person because we may service the same type of clients. So we get really, really good results from that. But like I said, we only do them once a month, but they're still awesome. So that's another great thing that you could do too, is if you start to build a network and just kind of want to do something different, starting your own is another great way because then you kind of control it. Being consistent. So don't commit to the weekly meetings if you know that that's unrealistic. That was one of the big things why people wouldn't join BNI is because they couldn't commit to a weekly meeting, but they wanted to do something and they just didn't know where to kind of plug in or what to do. Making it fun. the icebreakers are probably one of the best things that we do. We have different games that we'll incorporate, but it just gives people a fun way to engage with each other. And the same thing, building those referral partnerships. So networking, all in all, it's a great way. I mean, when I moved to Austin, let me tell you, like, I knew no one, zero. I knew not a soul out here when we moved here. And networking was the only way that I was able to grow my agency out here. And now, like, even my husband was having a conversation at a Bible study that we were at recently. And the guys was saying, like, I wish I had a bigger network, because he's trying to find a job. And my husband goes, well, it's great that my wife knows everybody because I would be in the same boat. So again, like, it's just, the more that you put yourself out there, the bigger your network is going to grow, the more people you're going to be in front of. And it really has set the tone for our agency. I mean, even as a solo agency, like just me out here right now, I think we ended up closing the year last year at almost $180,000 in what we brought into our agency through that company, through the different services that we offer. And that's just me as an agency owner by myself. So if I can do it, y'all can do it too. So also, let me dive into a little bit more of how we were able to hit those numbers last year. So I offer tiers, and I realized that, yeah, like SEO, advertising, social media, like all of that stuff is great, but I really wanted to scale more into recurring revenue last year. So there's 2 tools that we implemented that tie into our tiers. We implemented High Level, and I've been using High Level for years, but I just never really took off with it until I'm going to say probably the last year and a half. And then we added closebot.ai, which is what we use for our conversational AI. So this is more of the back end solutions to what that company provides, like Mike said. So they're great for our tier 1 option, which is lead generation. So that's strictly tier 1, is just doing ads, just doing SEO, social media, doing whatever we can to bring leads into the business. And then I actually think I have it over here, what our tiers look like. So I'll get into more of like what our tiers look like in just a second. But the biggest thing is just staying ahead of the curve, staying ahead of your clients. So Marty and Mike have both been on sales calls with me, and they've seen me in action with this stuff too. But I'm very solution driven. So a lot of times I'll ask more of those in-depth questions where we're not just talking through ads. We're not just talking through SEO. I'm diving into everything. I'm trying to see what opportunities do I have at my disposal for me to add on services, for me to do X, Y, and Z. So everything that I ask and all the questions that we kind of talk through in those sales calls, all just help trigger my brain. So when I go to do the proposal, I know what to offer. So a lot of times I'll ask questions, like, where are we sending this traffic to, right? So for running ads, where are they going to? If they're going to the website and Marty's looking at the website and he's like, yeah, this isn't going to convert, then we'll offer funnel building, which that company offers through, and they also use High Level as well. So if you are going to offer that as an option for your customers, then that company will actually build out the funnel in High Level for you, which is an additional add-on and upsell opportunity that you can offer. And then, so they also, the speed to lead concept too, like that's been the biggest part of it, is who is following up on these leads? And so that's the biggest question that I ask. And if it's the owner of the business, then you already know you have an opportunity there, because one person can't do it all when they're trying to scale. So freeing up their time, saving them not just money, you're saving them time by doing it for them. You can white label it. So, my company is Damn Good Marketing, but my white label SaaS is called Damn Good Solutions. So I white labeled it, but everything is marketed as part of our Damn Good Marketing package. And then the recurring revenue, I mean, that's a no-brainer. So the more that you can add on to a client's proposal, the more money you're going to have in your pocket. And it's not just one-off things either. It's stuff that you're going to be collecting money on month after month. And the great thing about High Level is they're a flat fee. So once you get to those higher tiers, I think their highest package is only $497 a month, but what you're charging the client pays for that. So, I think just with my SaaS clients alone, we bring in several $1,000s a month, just through what we're charging them, but I'm only getting charged $497. So it's basically pure profit at that point, because you're not really having to pay for anything additional. It's just profit, which is what you want. You want something that's going to bring in those profits. I use kind of this effect. It's the Goldilocks effect. And this is what we were talking about, is what your tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3s could look like. So tier 1 is our lead generation, which we basically help generate leads. So that's the ads, SEO, social media. Those fall into there. Tier 2 is the lead gen plus the follow-ups, which is GHL. So it's just lead gen plus those initial follow-ups. It's not going to have those actual conversations, but it'll be like a text message that gets sent out right away, an email that gets sent out right away. And then if they don't respond, to continue following up with those leads until they actually respond, or they fall into a longer nurture. And then we also do reactivation campaigns. So if they have a database of clients that they have, targeted in the past through advertising or SEO, that they want to kind of get back in front of again, we have campaigns that target that as well. And then our tier 3 is where we add in CloseBot. So that's where we're actually appointment booking for them, which is the AI receptionist, the AI appointment booker. You have AI closing. So there's different ways that we can train these AI bots to fill a position. And I love telling people, is I'm like, what's great about them is they don't take a bathroom break. So they're working for you 24/7, and people love it. The 3-tier option has worked great for me, offering to basically just get in front of them and offer different services. And this is what's been my game changer this last year. So when you have too many things that you're offering them at once, it gets very overwhelming. Or if you're not offering enough, sometimes it looks too basic. So by having a few different options for them, it works really well. Any questions about my tiers or anything that I've talked about so far?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Quick question on your tiers. So I know that this is subjective to every business, but I'm just curious to know how you go about pricing your tiers for your agency. What do those numbers look like for you?
Yeah, so good question. So obviously when it comes to lead generation, we tend to price according to that company, what their pricing models are. Their pricing structure works really well. And I haven't really had any pushback in regards to the pricing for that. So when it comes to lead gen, we typically stay on those proposals for GHL. If they're going to be doing other services with us, I usually charge about $397 a month for them to get access to all of my funnels. They get access to all my workflows. I will go in there too and kind of help because they're going to be an ongoing client. If they are not going to be a client, then I charge the high end of that, which is $497. And I charge those higher prices because you'll kind of see, if you haven't yet, when you go into high level, it's a blank slate, which means that you can customize everything however you want to. You can create your own funnels. But like I said, I've been within the company, I've been with the CRM for a few years already. And so I have developed kind of our own systems that I pass off to my clients. And we also offer 24/7 customer support. So I do pay for a little bit more extra things just because now I have the clients that can support the cost. But basically, we have custom videos in there that they can use to find support. We have the live chat features, we have the videos, we have support tickets. So we've really built it to scale, which is why I charge on the higher end of those. And nobody ever really bats an eye because CRMs alone are expensive. And not only that, but everything that high level includes, it saves money. So if people have like Active Campaign or MailChimp and they're using some type of email marketing, they can use it in here. If they're doing invoicing or contracts, they can do it in here. Scheduling social media posts, they can do it here. If they have ClickFunnels, we have funnels too that are identical to ClickFunnels. So it offers pretty much everything. It's a one-stop shop that it's trying to be for your lead follow-ups and nurturing. So you can easily justify the cost, but charge whatever you want to charge. And then for the AI appointment, we charge roughly about the same. So it's about another, it just depends how many they're looking at, how many campaigns they need, or different type of AIs they're looking at. But it's roughly about the same.
So what I'm gathering is you don't have tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 like as a package. You have it based on their needs and then you're charging accordingly. Or
Correct. Yeah. So as we're in the sales call, right? So, you'll look at the data that the team provides if you're doing the sales calls with Marty or Mike. You're going to be seeing kind of what competition looks like. And then based off of those conversations, that's where you're going to show them. And then you're going to say, okay, so based off of what we learned, this is what I think is best is our tier 3 option. But I will give pricing for tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. But that way, at least they can see what the price differences are for each one and then why the value is there. Another thing is in my proposals are actually very detailed. So I actually will take a lot of the data that we got when we first signed up with that company in regards to advertising, SEO. That way our proposals match what services they're going to provide. And then I actually have like videos for the CRM, for the AI. I'll have like demo videos that they're able to see kind of what it looks like. And then I actually will book on the calls too. I'll book demo appointments with them to actually sit down and show them what the additional things look like. So yeah, it does get a little bit more custom, but having 3 different options for them to look through, it definitely helps.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So
we also have one more hand up, Rafat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right there. Quick question around the close bot. I believe that's what it's you had mentioned. Is that a tool that is kind of customized, or is it something that's available? Can you talk a little bit more about how that works?
Yes. So CloseBot, their actual platform is pretty basic. But basically you can create as many bots as you want within whatever account you choose. You can build out as many as you want. But really all it does is it just says like, what is the main objective? Like, what is it that you're trying to get it to do? Which is why I say you could have multiple bots, because one could be the receptionist where they're just asking FAQs. And you can provide the bot with resources too. Like if you have a PDF that has, frequently asked questions, you can just upload it right into the bot and it'll download that into the knowledge base. You can basically set it up to where you want it to answer, several questions, or basically you want it to gather information. So you want it to get somebody's name and phone number, you would just train it on how to do it. But honestly, with CloseBot and with AI, less is more. The less information that you give it, the more free it's going to talk, and you'll see it looks more organic. And obviously, like, you can test it too. So as you're testing it, if you kind of see that it's leaning towards one way or the other, you can start to kind of give it feedback and say, like, do not ask this, or if someone says this, don't do this. And so you can kind of mess with it a little bit, but honestly, like, less is more. It goes a lot further, the less information that you give it. And CloseBot actually has a really good resource center where they can provide you with prompts. So they'll give you, based on like certain industries, they'll give you prompts that you can basically just upload into your bots and it'll kind of start it for you. So they have a lot of really great support. Their Facebook group is actually really supportive as well. And then too, you also have Closebot has like preferred partners. And so some of them have their own like communities that have a whole bunch of additional training, especially if you're new to conversational AI and like haven't really dived into it. Joining some groups like that can be really helpful too, because they also have like additional courses and trainings. They have prompts themselves. Sometimes they even like offer their own services to set up bots for you if you need help like in the beginning while you grow. But their platform's pretty user friendly. It's just more you just need to know what you want it to do. And then once you know that, you can walk through it and set them up.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So here's kind of the different, I know we talked through a few different things, but I wanted to put some pricing models in front of you guys as well. If you guys scan this and fill out some information here, it shoots you over an email that has all of the different links on there. So I'll get you the link for BNI. So if you want to see if there's any chapters in your area that don't have a digital marketing person, you can visit BNI chapters up to 2 times without joining. So you can visit as many chapters as you want that don't have anybody in your category. So the link is in there of how to get into that. A link to our website for Link Up Local, just so you can get ideas if you want to create one. You're more than welcome to reach out to me as well if you do have any questions and set up a one-to-one with me, and I can talk to you a little bit more about that. I also put the link in there for GHL. So they usually give you a 14-day free trial. So if you want to jump in and kind of mess with it before really committing to it for yourself, I threw that link in there too. And Closebot does have free and paid accounts. So same thing, you can start free with one bot and just kind of test it out. I usually recommend using the free one for your demo. So using it to get clients, because then once you can land a client, then you can upgrade it, because now you'll have money coming in. So you're not having to kind of spend that money ahead of time. That's just what I did, but use it however you want. Mess with it yourself. You can test it out, learn kind of how to train it, but all of those resources you can get by filling out the form that's on the QR code, and you'll get all of it. And that's all I have. So I will stop sharing that here. But yeah, I mean, if anybody has any questions, that's kind of.
Thank you so much. I think Tim's got his hand up.
Yeah, hi there. Hey, thanks for coming out and talking with us. I showed up 5 minutes late and I just missed what BNI is. Please tell me what that stands for.
Yeah, BNI is a networking group. So it's the largest networking group in the world. So they have chapters all over the country, all over in different countries, but they have them everywhere. So yeah, BNI is just, I'm a part of BNI. I've been a part of BNI for years. And kind of what I was saying earlier is that BNI, I mean, when I first started my agency, I joined BNI, and our first year in business with BNI, we hit almost $80,000 in revenue just from the referrals that I got from our chapter. So if you're looking for a way to get plugged in quickly, to start generating referrals, really start growing your agency and getting in front, like BNI hands down is the quickest way to do it. They are an investment, so you do have to pay for the seat, but it's annual. And some chapters do have like quarterly or monthly dues, but in our industry, your ROI is almost guaranteed.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mike, you got your hand up.
Hi, Karissa. Thanks for all the information. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
I have looked into working with Go High Level like many years ago. I didn't kind of pull the trigger back then. It just seemed too much like going on at the time for me to use their platform. But like, how do you like? What do you when you started? Has it been really helpful as opposed to kind of having it? For example, what we do now, we have our project management tool in Basecamp, or now we're jumping into Asana. We have other tools that are out, like they're all kind of like, independent. But I just felt like there was a lot of stuff in Go High Level. Is that accurate? Like I wasn't going to use every bell and whistle in there. It seemed confusing to me, but maybe it's just me. What's your experience been like with it?
No, it definitely can be overwhelming for sure. There is a ton of information, but the biggest thing that I did for even for our own agency, because we transitioned, we were using Dubsado before for like our proposals, contracts, all of that. It was streamlined in there. Once High Level started doing documents and contracts, I pivoted because that was the only thing that was missing for me. But it really just depends on if you can take a step back and look at like, what are the different softwares that I use on a daily basis in our agency, right? You could use Notion, there's so many different platforms that you use. For me, I still use my Excel sheet when I'm tracking like my clients, my budgeting, stuff like that. But for my leads management, I use High Level for everything. And mainly because of the funnels, my calendar, everything's tied into that, my automations for when I get my calendar bookings. So all of that, everything right now that I have funnels into the system. So it does take time originally as you're migrating from other services to set it up. But once it's set up, it's done, and it kind of runs. And I mean, I'm trying to think. I remember when I first started, it took me a few months just to get into the swing of things and just kind of get used to it. That's why it also took me a while before I started even offering it to my clients, because I wanted to learn it. I kind of wanted to see what all the features were, see what bugs that were in the system, what things needed to be fixed. And I will say that they've done a really good job over like the last, I don't know, like 6 months, just stopping with adding more products and focus on fixing and working on the things that they already have, which has been one of the biggest game changers, because now things are moving more efficiently. They're using more UX, UI type designs to make things look more smoother, works like everything's more streamlined. So yeah, it's definitely had some overhauls over the last few months. So if you haven't yet, I mean, it really is just pay attention to kind of what are the different tools that you're using in-house, that something like this could help make it more efficient. But honestly, like the guys will tell you, I don't sell this as like an affiliate, or like I'm not out doing like YouTube videos trying to build up like my sub accounts. I really only use it for my clients. And almost all of my clients are on High Level right now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they do actually use it. They log on to
yeah.
see their reporting and stuff. Like,
So, I mean, and honestly too, like reporting alone is huge. I don't know if I was telling the guys this the other day, but I have a roofing client that has staff in-house that does a lot of their lead follow-up. And they were trying to say that we set up their calendars wrong, that people are able to book, consultations on the same day, which I'm like, I know I didn't do that. I know I set it up for a few days out because we literally sat down and like went over all this. But I was able to get into High Level. I was able to pull it up and say, no, the client booked on the 9th for the 13th. So there was several days in between. Not only that, but we send internal notifications to your staff, which they both read on this day at this time. And so it just helps keep you accountable, right? Like if you didn't have that information, imagine how hard it would be for you to be like, no, I didn't do that, or I didn't set that up, or, so it not only helps you to make sure that like things are moving in the right direction, but also to keep them and their staff accountable too. So, because they had no idea. He's like, I don't know, like, why did they say that they tried to pin it on you guys? I'm like, I don't know, but here's the data. Like, here's the information. And same thing with advertising too. If clients are saying like, oh, the ads aren't working or this and that, you can kind of, if they're using these systems that we have, we're able to identify where the gaps are. Like it's not a lead issue. It's not that we are not providing leads. It's, we send an email, we contacted, and then, you didn't want to use AI or you didn't want to do stuff. So you're missing out on these opportunities because they're not being followed up on, so that's one of the biggest changes that I've seen, and why like we've been able to retain clients longer is, especially in digital marketing, you guys all know, like our job is to provide leads. We give them the leads and then we want the businesses to close them, but it's really hard to justify if they're not getting their ROI. So if this is just one extra thing that you can offer to help them get ROI, then they're going to be with you guys a lot longer. Yeah.
I'll check them out. I mean, it's been like 2 years, so I'm sure their interface and everything is probably completely updated.
Yeah, it definitely has been updated,
Awesome.
but it's definitely worth looking into.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Gabriel.
Hey, Karissa, thank you for all the information you just provide us. I have a question. I know Go High Level, they don't have their own internal email marketing system. What do you use for that?
High level.
High Level? So they just added it, or?
No, they've had it now for, I mean, as long as I've been in there. But yeah, they do have internal email. So yeah, I use that for all of our newsletter marketing, for the follow-ups. So that's just a part of the process when you're setting up a client. But you basically just connect a domain. So you have them create like a sub account or like a subdomain that you use for emails. So it's like emails.damngoodmarketing.com. And then that's what you use for like no reply and DMark. But yeah, you can set all of that up through High Level and have
So
it
I
all.
don't need like get response or anything like apart from Go High Level?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
And obviously you need to like warm up your leads. Like you don't want to just create it and then mass email like 10,000 people. But yeah, if you're organically getting them, you can definitely do it in High Level.
Okay. So what's the limit on that? Like the contact, what's the limit on the contact for
You can have as many contacts as you want.
and send like as much email as I want as well?
You mean like sending emails?
Correct.
Yeah. So
Like like autoresponders and newsletters. I'm talking about.
okay, so let me pull up right now because I know it varies depending on if you're using like Gmail sometimes. So if you're using like like just the native lead connector, it's a certain price versus like if you're using like I think too with Google, it's like 500 like is what their limit is, unless you upgrade, obviously. But I know that there's different prices. So let me pull up the information on that. But I can find it and I can email it over to you if you.
Yeah, that's fine. So the thing is, the question is, so I don't need like get response or anything like that, like an autoresponder with Go High Level. I don't need that.
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Yep. You do. Yeah. The only thing that I use is High Level for that. So for emails, yeah, I just use that. I don't use anything else unless you're doing a lot more like outbound messages. Yeah, so I was able to pull up something here. So when you're sending your emails, you need to warm up the domain. So there's stages. So depending like how you warm it up, but stage 1 is like 100. So it's like for like 100 hours, it's 1,000. Stage 2 is 2.5 thousand. Stage 3 is 5,000, but you can work all the way up to almost 250,000 emails. Yeah, so they walk you through how to warm those email lists and how to basically do that all within practice. So yeah, I just found that in their support portal. So you can find all the information in there too.
Cool. And what about the templates? Do they have a lot of templates, like website templates?
So they have website templates, they have funnel templates, social media templates. They have emails as well, so you can have email templates, SMS templates. So yeah, they have a bunch in there. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, I wasn't sure about that. But thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
Karissa, thanks so much. That was wonderful. Appreciate it.
Of
Karissa.
course.
That was damn good.
Thank you, Karissa.
Damn good.
That was damn good.
See y'all.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Thank you for investing in the community as always. Yeah, really appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day.
You guys as well.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.